Microphone was off. Hello everyone, welcome again to another episode of Nolzur's Marvelous Tutorials with RealmSmith. My name is Jason. I am your host for this evening as usual. Our camera is askew, folks. Something happened. As you can see behind me, there is some serious construction going on in our studio. We've installed a bunch of new lights and new facades for our upcoming Curse of Strahd campaign. It's an official Curse of Strahd campaign here on the D&D Twitch starting tomorrow night. That is Into the Mist. I cannot wait. We are so very excited. It's happening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 4 p.m. Pacific Time. So tonight we're actually going to paint two of the character minis that we will be using for the show tomorrow, which we're really excited about. I'm going to try and fix this camera while I show you guys the intro for tomorrow night's show. This is the first time anybody's seen it. Exclusive for all of you. Hello, D. Silacer. Hello, Drenbar. Welcome, everyone. Check out the intro, and we'll be right back. There you have it, folks. First time ever, debut of our intro for tomorrow night's show. I am so very excited to be on the D&D Twitch, natively streaming for all of you our Curse of Strahd campaign. I was not able to fix the camera because I need to see the camera, and what I'm watching right now is what you guys are seeing. So I couldn't actually fix it. I will try perhaps in a little bit if it's bothersome. If not, I'm a little askew. It's okay. It is all good. Somehow the thing came loose, the latch. Anyways, it's all good. You can see me. You can see the awesome facades behind us. We're super, super excited. And again, check us out tomorrow night, D&D Twitch, and our YouTube, and our Twitch, and our Facebook at /RealmSmith. And you can catch us all there. Let's jump right into tonight, and we'll go from there. So tonight, tools of the trade that we need are the Aasimar Paladin miniature and the Human Cleric miniature. And actually, we are not doing the Aasimar Paladin. We are actually doing the Human Warlock. That is not correct, which I didn't get to update because of the craziness of the construction of the studio. Live stream, folks. Okay, paints. We've got Heavy Blue, Silver, Black Wash, Warlock Purple, Glorious Gold, Sepia Wash, Steel Gray, Heavy Sienna, Leather Brown, Off-White, Bone White, Flesh Wash, Cadmium Skin, and Violet Ink. All right, so we're jumping right in. Like I said, we're not doing the Aasimar Paladin. We're actually going to wait on that because we're actually going to modify the miniature just a touch for the stream. We have a bunch of different folks playing with us, 6 in total, including my, 5 in total, including myself, so that's 6 of us at the table tomorrow night, at this very table here that we're painting at. And the miniatures we'll be painting tonight, the first one is the Human Cleric. I'm using him as a Paladin miniature because he's very Paladin-like as well. And this will be used for Dimitri, who's being played by Adam Maines tomorrow night on the stream. And then also, we have the Human Warlock here, miniature from WizKids, of course. And this is going to be Roan, who is a Shadow Sorcerer who will be playing on the stream tomorrow night. The last few weeks we painted a couple minis too. In 3 episodes ago, we painted Esmeralda and Rectavio from Curse of Strahd, and then 2 weeks ago we painted a version of Strahd himself in miniature form. Very scary looking. And excited to bring him to the table. They will be showing up throughout the campaign. The campaign will be 12 episodes. It'll go for 3 months. Couple announcements real quick before we continue. Just want to thank our partners as usual. D&D for, of course, hosting the stream. To Vallejo for all the wonderful paint that we use on a weekly basis, and to WizKids for providing us these incredible miniatures that we use on a weekly basis with all this awesome detail ready out of the package, pre-primed, so that we can go ahead and paint. I know you guys love the Nolzur's minis, and so we love to show you guys how to paint them. Like I said, stream tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That is an actual play live stream of Curse of Strahd on the D&D Twitch with the RealmSmith team and all the wonderful minis and all this crazy interactive stuff that we are going to be doing. And we're so excited to bring that to you along with all of our partners who are teaming up with us to do that. You can check out our adventure boxes, realmsmith.tv. Basically, we send you a box of wonderful stuff that you can use for your D&D 5e campaign on a monthly basis. You can check that out at realmsmith.tv. Right now, if you use the code IWantAdventure, you can get $20 off your first box. And then next week, we'll probably be painting more of these miniatures. We're not totally sure, just things are in flux right now in the studio because we're ramping up for a whole season of wonderful Strahdness. So that is okay, and we will kind of figure this month out as we go. I'll be releasing a schedule soon to let you know kind of what's going on. Keep an eye out in your local paint stores for your paint event. Brought to you by WizKids, Vallejo, and RealmSmith. You can see the ad below. It was just there. You'll see it later as well. Let's jump right in. I'm a little discombobulated because I've been building tavern facades in our studio until the wee hours of the morning. Let me know if the music is okay, folks. It's brought to you by Sirenscape, as usual. We like to add a little bit of excitement and ambiance to our streams, so just make sure, let me know if it's drowning me out or if it's too loud. And of course, I am live in the chat, so if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, if you've painted these miniatures already from WizKids, please let me know, and let me know kind of your thoughts or your techniques, colors you've used, how you use them in your campaign, all of the great stuff. And kind of the idea behind RealmSmith is that we paint some of these miniatures in the stream on Sunday nights, and then we use them in our live play on Monday. So we teach you how to paint them, then we show you how to use them, and it's full circle wonderfulness. Cool? Awesome. Let's jump in. We are going to start by base coating. The rule of thumb with miniatures, which I always say, is start from the inside out. What that means is start from the areas on the miniature that are the deepest. So the deepest recesses of the mini, so that when you go in and paint the kind of higher recesses, you're not messing all of... if you were to paint the higher recesses first, when you go in to paint the deeper ones, you mess up. So that we don't want to do. So we're going to start with the deepest recesses, and I think what I'm going to start with, let's see here. There's nothing in the back there. I'm going to do the cloak later because it's a little higher. And then we're also going to batch paint, so we're going to paint similar colors across both miniatures to kind of save a little bit of time here. I think I'm going to start with the chainmail because that's kind of the base of everything. For chainmail, we're going to use silver. We're actually using a lot of the same colors that we used for Strahd. Just happened to be a lot of the same selection that we needed. I want to say hi to everyone on Facebook as well. Hello, Michael Kramer. Hopefully you know now. Hello, Melanie Hepburn. My significant other is playing Callie, the Aasimar Rogue, and her character concept is really freaking fun and cool. And you guys will find out all about that tomorrow night when you tune in. All right, so I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to start painting all of this chainmail with silver, and then we'll use a black wash on that afterwards. But we're going to do the wash a little later because we'll end up painting a lot of kind of similar colors that are going to take that black wash at the same time, and that'll just save us some time later. I don't know why I'm using the smaller brush. Let's use the number 1 brush for this. How's the volume for the music out there, folks? I want drama. I don't want too much drama. You know what I'm saying? And I apologize for getting started a little later today, folks. Again, because the studio's in flux, it took a little longer to kind of set things up and run tonight, so thanks for tuning in. Hopefully everybody had a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Did you guys get any fun D&D stuff over the holidays? Any cool minis you look forward to painting? So I'm just going through with silver. Now there's not a lot here, so it's basically this side here, the sleeve, and the kind of skirt area of that. I might as well go ahead and paint the sword as well. The sword is going to be silver. So I'm just gonna, it's probably gonna rub off quite a bit as I kind of go through here. But I'm just gonna paint that, as well as the pommel and the grip. And the cross guard. Make sure I get the back, just because I can come in later and I can touch it up a little bit, but for right now, we'll just get all of those silver areas done. Hey, Jack's Not Funny, how's it going? Now I do also have, we are also live on our Twitch as well. So I'll make sure I can see all of them. Okay. All right, so that is the silver, all done for the chainmail. Like so. And then I think after that we might go heavy blue. I think. No, I'm gonna go heavy sienna. So I'm gonna do the boots on the Warlock. And again, so David Shaheen is playing a Shadow Sorcerer in our stream starting tomorrow night. Karan Seraph says, I used a gift card I had received to buy some minis. I'm currently using a Nolzur's female half-orc barbarian as my half-orc artificer battlesmith. Very cool. If you're a battlesmith, I assume you're playing Eberron, perhaps? Brandon Perkins is actually playing a Warforged fighter in our stream, but he's playing it in Curse of Strahd, which will be fun. A little different. So these boots look like they go right up past his knees here. So we're just going to go ahead and paint all of that. It doesn't go quite as high on the back. I've painted it that way, but I'll go in and I'll fill in that area after, maybe with some steel gray, perhaps. But for right now, heavy sienna. Heavy sienna is an extra opaque paint. The extra opaque paints are used as base paints, so they are a little heavier, and they give you a bit more coverage, usually in one single coat. And I'm going to apologize in advance for Bruno the Tavern Dog as he chews his paws and snores out in the hallway, which you can probably hear all the way in here. Puppy Lover says, got me fun Nolzur's minis. I'm going to need you to do an episode on the Spectator and Gazer set. Good idea. Maybe we'll do that later this month. That would be a lot of fun. And that's another thing too, folks. For those of you that are first-time watchers, please let me know what you'd like me to paint in future episodes. This is where you guys have the opportunity to kind of tell me what we should be painting, what you'd like to see us paint. I'm getting some funkiness here. Are you guys seeing that? I'm getting flashes of weirdness. Hopefully the stream is okay. Let me know if you guys see that there or if it's just here. I'm getting some interruption in the stream. Hopefully it's all right. Okay. So, okay, cool. All right, so that is the boots on the Warlock. He is complete. There's nothing else, I don't think. You know what? I'm also going to do heavy sienna on his little wand thing here. No, you know what? I'm going to make that gold. Looks like an item of some sort. I'm going to leave that like that. And then on here, I'm going to do heavy sienna on his boots as well. I was thinking about leather brown. Let's see. He's got gauntlets as well, but I think darker. I mean, it is kind of Ravenlofty, so... But he is a paladin. Yeah, so like I mentioned, folks, we have a paladin, human paladin, Aasimar. That's how Marisha Ray says it in D&D Beyond. Aasimar. Aasimar rogue, human paladin, warforged fighter. Joel Auger is playing Falfer. Who is going to be a really fun character. You guys are going to love him. He is a halfling ranger. And last player is... Who am I missing, folks? Callie Roan, Shadow Sorcerer by David Shaheen, which is who I'm painting today. Where can I go to play D&D online? That's a great question. DC Lacerre might be able to tell you that. Obviously, Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 is a great way to find players, I believe, and a great system to use. There he is, Roll20. I also, folks, have a, and I've been given approval by WizKids to say this, I have a Warforged miniature that is coming out soon, that is unreleased. It will be a painted version, pre-painted version, but they have sent me a custom print to use in our stream. So I will be using that. I will be using that in our stream moving forward, and hopefully painting that next weekend on the show. Really should have painted it tonight, actually, because I got to use it tomorrow night, and it's one of those that I don't have a miniature for, but we'll figure that out as we go. There we go. Okay, so boots are done. And let's see, what else do I want to be? I think I'm going to do his gauntlets, which kind of look like they go up to his elbow. So go in here. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush for this. Tomorrow night's show starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time or 4 p.m. Pacific Time for all of you. And hopefully the rest of you who are outside that area can kind of do the math on that. called Into the Mist, and like I said, it'll be live on the D&D Twitch, on the RealmSmith Twitch, on our Facebook, on our YouTube. It'll be everywhere we can stream, because everybody's playing nice now, which is great for us creators. Is anybody watching that was at PAX? I know Puppy Lover was at PAX. Is there anyone else that was at PAX? He also has a bit of a sleeve here. Probably should have done that prior to doing these, but it's not a huge issue. Might require some touch up, but we'll see. And I'm also trying to get in behind here. And tomorrow night we will be supporting Extra Life through our stream with some fun interactive stuff that we do. Part of the stream, actually, we are going to, in the future, get this. So this is the concept, and we're testing some of that functionality tomorrow night. But we are allowing the ability for players to donate, and a portion goes to Extra Life. And you guys can buy via a Vistani in-game market. You can send items to our players in-game through the mists that they can use to do stuff. Health potions, magic items, some mundane items, things like that. And it's something that we're really super excited about. And that will be rolling out in the next couple weeks while we launch the show and get all of the functionality working correctly. We'll be testing a little bit each week to kind of get that right and figure out all the technicalities, but it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, I am painting his bracers right now with heavy sienna. Trying to get behind. This is really tough to do just because of the way that his arms are folded in front of his chest. So I'm just kind of trying to jam the toothbrush, jam the paintbrush in there. I don't have to get it all, but I'm just trying to get as much of it as possible. Just so there's no glaring areas that can be seen of. There we go. Again, this is the human cleric miniature that we'll be using for a human paladin in our game. Okay. That's that. You know what? I'm also going to paint his belt this color as well. Get a lot of it done. That was the base coat, and then I'll come in with some leather brown afterwards and make it a bit more interesting, but just lay down the base coat here on his belt. I'm using my zero brush here for this detail stuff. Not too much of an issue if I get it on the rest of the clothing, but want to try and not get it onto the chainmail that we painted already, or we'll have to rebase coat some areas or touch it up a bit. There we go. Okay. There, so heavy sienna is done. I think I'm happy with that. We're going to go in with some heavy blue now, and there's quite a bit of heavy blue on this miniature. And questions, just so you guys know, if you want to ask a question, just write a question in caps, and then write your questions just so I can catch it while the chat's going by here. I have a question for you. What was your first D&D character? If you remember, mine was a wizard Loxodon named Kel. Very cool. Oh, what was my first D&D character? First D&D character was a paladin named Lance, actually. Back when I was 12, I want to say 11 or 12, I played a human paladin named Lance, and it was awesome and fun and all of that great stuff. Anybody else have fond memories of their first characters? Please share. And how many years ago? Okay, so back to the human warlock. All of this here is blue in here, so I'm just going to go in. Don't have to be too neat here because we're going to be painting over all these other areas. This is another heavy, extra opaque paint from Vallejo. This is heavy blue, and I always dilute just with just a touch of water just to help it to flow a bit better. And we'll go in here and just paint all of the shirt on the inside heavy blue. It's almost like a vest or a jacket of sorts in here. Get it in the back there, make sure that you come up around. And again, the reason why we're doing the blue first is because when we come in and do the coat afterwards, we're not messing up all of that blue that we just did in there. So that's kind of the intention behind going from the outside in. Now on the paladin there's a lot more blue, quite a bit more blue. I'm wondering how to paint the, I think I want to do like a blue cloak. Let me think here for a second. I think I'm going to do this area, this cloth in the front blue to match his cloak. I also have off-white and bone white, so we can do some lighter color paladin kind of stuff. Blue and white is a very common kind of cleric / paladin color scheme. So, like that. I may paint under here as well blue, just because it'll give some darkness down here. You'll never see it, but if the miniature ever dies and falls over, and we kind of see up that area, then it won't be too much of an issue. So, okay, so I've base coated that blue. Venomai says I started playing D&D around 12 as well. I forgot to mention my character was a necromancer. Oh, I bet he made a lot of friends, or she made a lot of friends. My first character was a knowledge domain cleric named Nell that I made when I was 12. And he was the first character I made in 5e. That's awesome. A lot of people starting around the same age. It's so great. I told you paint under the... Oh, all right. And lots of people watching tonight. Thanks for joining us, folks. On Facebook, too. Just want to say hi to everyone on Facebook. Let me see here. I am going to do blue on this cloak. I was thinking about it, and I've decided I'm going to do it. So this is going to be quite a bit of base coating, and I'm probably going to mess up the corners as I like scratch some of the paint off while I'm kind of handling the miniature. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and do a nice solid coat of this blue on the whole cloak. I thought about making it a white cloak. The reference material on the back of the blister is white, but I think blue is going to be a better, kind of darker color for this. So I'm going to spoiler warnings for Curse of Strahd. Obviously, it takes place in Barovia, which is a demi-plane created by the vampire Strahd. And anybody who's playing Ravenloft within the first kind of session or two, you should learn that anyways. So, or Curse of Strahd. It used to be called Ravenloft when I was younger. I actually played Ravenloft. I have very fond memories when I was a kid playing Ravenloft with my buddies. So the players have to originate somewhere else. They don't just come... some of them can be Barovian or come from Ravenloft, I guess, but for the most part, the adventurers are drawn into Barovia or invited into Barovia, the source book says. And so all of our characters come from different places. And Dimitri, who I'm painting now, is a human paladin from our homebrew world called Elune. And he came from the Knights of Elune, which is an order of knights in our world. And Elune is the homeworld for our adventure boxes that we use for the campaign. And for some of our older streams, which you can all catch on YouTube at youtube.com/RealmSmith. All right. Okay, so I'm trying to get in here, trying not to. It's okay if I touch the skin parts because we're going to go over those after. Don't want to touch the chainmail and mess that up. But it's looking pretty dope, I think. That's right, I use the word dope. I'm allowed, I'm over 40. Okay. All right, I just aged myself. Okay. And we use Sirenscape in all of our live streams. Guys, if you haven't checked out Sirenscape, definitely check them out. They're a lot of fun. Their player is amazing and adds so much to our games. Ambient sounds and themes and sound effects, and can't imagine, frankly, playing a session without it now. Okay. So as you can see, that heavy opaque paint goes on really well. Basically one coat coverage. Now, I'm just being careful here. Again, we've only done base coats at this point, so if I do mess up and paint over, no big deal. I can just come back. The paint is still wet in the palette, so I can go back to an old color, but I'm taking some care because that's just a lot of work. Unnecessary work. Question, what edition of D&D did you start off with? Second edition, actually. And then we went into third. Quite quickly we went into third. Third basically was released, I think, around the time that we started playing, so. And then we played third edition most. But man, I love me some fifth edition. Is anybody else still playing some of those old editions? Like second or third edition, even first edition? Do you think you'll do any object-based painting like the cabinets that just came in your first box? Yes. So we do have some tutorials for painting some of that stuff. So the bar set that came in our first adventure box, we have a tutorial on YouTube for that, on our YouTube channel. So you can head to that and we teach you how to paint that. This show is Nolzur's miniatures exclusively, the D&D stuff. So we won't necessarily be painting anything outside of that, but we do have some tutorials for some of the WizKids Deep Cut stuff online, among other things, and other miniatures that we haven't even painted on this. But this is episode 28, so we have 27 other episodes, folks, on YouTube that you can check out for all of the miniatures for a lot of the miniatures in the D&D WizKids line, and we just keep going and going. I'm super excited about the next wave, folks. Just wait till you see some of this stuff. Just wait. It's so great. I was going to paint... It looks like he has a bit of a shirt or something, but I think it's armor. Or it's a belt. Oh, it's a belt there. I see. So I'll paint his upper belt, maybe that leather brown instead. I think I missed some questions here. How is 3.5 compared to 5? I'll answer that in just a sec. Venomize says I started playing 5e, started playing D&D 8 months ago. Awesome, welcome. 3.5. Yeah, it was very mathy. That's a great way to put it, Moto. 3.5 was definitely mathy. I think 3.5 was Thaco, wasn't it? So 5e is just really streamlined. It's great for newer players. And they just simplified everything using advantage and disadvantage, I think is one of the biggest things. So basically, instead of kind of figuring out DCs on the fly, and a lot of math with bonuses and negatives, and this person gives this, and that thing gives that bonus, but then you have a negative because of this. Basically, you give the character advantage or disadvantage as a DM, and it just really super simplified the game in such a way that it just speeds it up. Less math, as was said. Thaco. Thaco's AD&D, right. But anyways, either way, it just really simplified the game on a lot of fronts and made it accessible to a lot more people, I think, as you can see with the rise of and popularity of the current edition. My girlfriend Melanie, like I said, who plays on our stream, will be playing on our stream tomorrow night. This will be tomorrow night will be her second D&D set live stream, and it may be third D&D game ever. So she's repping the noobs tomorrow night. But you'll see, with 5e, I feel if you have a decent DM, or if you have a good DM who knows the rules, you could literally sit at the table and play with a character sheet and some dice, and the DM will tell you what to roll and what to do, and yeah. So I'm a huge fan of 5e. And for those that are brand new, 5e is 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and so they've gone through 5 editions. This is the 5th, and frankly, dare I say it, the best, in my opinion. Okay, there we go, folks. Nice and blue, nice solid coats with this extra opaque paint from Vallejo. That turned out really nicely. I am rubbing some of the heavy sienna, as I figured I might, off the boot there, but we can come back and touch that up after. Okay, so we're going to put that down. Heavy blue is done. I'm almost through all the things that we're going to put the black wash on, except for the coat. Now, for his coat, I put Warlock purple because I want it to be kind of a wine-colored red color. So I'm going to take Warlock purple, but I think I'm going to add, and this wasn't in the color list, heavy red, which is an extra opaque paint that'll help it to be a bit thicker. So I'm going to add some red and some of that Warlock purple and mix it together. Probably more red than purple. Let's just see what level I want to get to here. But that will just help to give us kind of that in-between sort of magenta red color that we want. He's a shadow sorcerer, so there we go. So we want him a bit darker. Now that is really bright, you might say, for a shadow sorcerer. But once we add a black wash to that, that'll change fairly dramatically. So not too concerned about that at all. And then we'll probably do skin tones next. There we go. Really quite bright right now. But that's the beautiful thing about washes. And now for those of you that are new to painting, a wash, we call it liquid in a bottle or liquid talent. Basically, a wash adds depth and shadow to your miniature. By brushing it on, it seeps into the recesses and adds natural shadows. I'll show you how that works when we get to that stage, but it's a really awesome tool especially when you're starting painting. I mean, I still use it. I've been painting for many years, but just really helps to do something that would take a lot longer using layers in a quick way. Question, do you use a wet palette, and do you ever use a mini holder so you don't have to hold it by the base? Just going through and making sure I didn't miss any other questions. If I do miss a question, folks, and I don't answer it, just ask it again after a little while. and I'll get to it eventually, and just keep asking it, just because I'm obviously painting and then looking back and forth here. The question was, do I ever use a mini holder? Yes, I absolutely do. I do have one. But when these come out right out of the box, they don't have a base on them. They have a base that comes with it. So I like to kind of wait for that. I like to show you folks how to paint kind of without one. Although it does really help my wrists and my hands. My hands tend to cramp up like this. I'm just getting older. And so painting like this is hard sometimes on the hands. But yeah, absolutely. Mini holder does help to kind of spare your hands a little bit and your wrists, and so they don't get fatigued while painting. Or you can mount them on a cork, or there's so many other different ways to do it. I haven't yet on this show. Not sure why I don't necessarily do it. I don't know. I probably should do it more. I just guess skips my brain, I guess, when doing the show. But okay, so again, going through the coat in the front, coat on the back, and just nice solid base coat with no primer showing through. And this should look solid once I add that wash. And then I'll come back and I'll highlight it a little bit. There. And we're posting character photo drawings of the characters on our Instagram page at Instagram /RealmSmith TV. You can go to there and check out kind of the concepts for the characters that we have, the illustrations that I did. But you'll see that Roan's got a coat like this. He doesn't have a beard in the photo, but maybe he'll grow one after seeing how awesome and manly he looks in miniature form. All right, so we can go back to the Paladin now while that coat is drying. I'm gonna go with probably gonna do my black wash now on all of this stuff. Actually, first I'm gonna do steel gray on the. I'm gonna do the base last because it's gonna rub off anyways. So, black wash, you just shake it up. Question: what is your favorite class in D&D 5e? I'm loving the monk. I played a monk the last time, but my favorite class of all time has always been the paladin or the ranger. Ranger was, I think my second character was a ranger. First was a paladin, so I've always had a soft spot. Jack's not funny. These are game color paints. We are using Vallejo game color. Okay, so with a black wash, like I said, I'm adding a little bit of water so it flows real nice. Basically, you're just painting it onto the miniature like this and letting it flow into the recesses. And as you do that, it will add awesome shadows to it. We're going to do that all over the blue of the cloak. As you can see, into the recesses, shadows. Also, folks, for those of you that have watched our show for a while and have returned, how is the lighting in here now? We've added some new lights, just so we don't have the big lamp that's over my head. I'd like to know how the lighting is on the miniatures. If it's better or worse. We love that feedback, because then we can decide kind of how we move forward and how we upgrade the studio ongoing. I did forget to do that leather brown. Oh, but I'll use a CP wash over that anyways. Again, I'm not too worried about areas I haven't painted yet. If I get wash on that, it's no big deal. We're painting over it again anyways. Get that wash all over these boots. You can see in the chainmail how it's really bringing out the texture there. And because we haven't done the head yet, I can hold it from the head and the base like this. The lighting is good, but it is a little hard to see the miniatures since they are so small. Yes, that is very true, and unfortunately, that's just part of the issue here. The way we have our camera set up, I'm trying to get more of the shot. What I can do is move the miniature camera down a little bit. That might help, just to get a little closer to the mini. Maybe I'll try that. What do you guys think? If I bring this down a bit more, like that. That's better. No, so I the camera does not have a zoom function because it's digital zoom, and it wouldn't be great. Yeah, it's in the way of my... We're working on a better solution for the camera, so it's more out of the way. We just haven't gotten there just yet, but we're working on it. Can't wait to show you folks the new studio facades behind us tomorrow night. Very excited. Something I've wanted to do in the studio for a long time, and D&D gave us a reason to do so with this new stream, so very excited. Do you folks have any ideas or thoughts on things you'd like to see on a Curse of Strahd campaign? Without too many spoilers for those that haven't played yet, or any of my players that might be watching. But if there's anything that you'd like to see, or you'd like us to kind of focus on, or highlight, or your favorite parts of Curse of Strahd, from like a mechanics perspective or a theme. Again, try and stay away from spoilers, because I know people out there are playing it. Okay, so I'm also going to get some wash on the sword as well, because, and again, this wash is going to muddy everything, it's going to darken everything. Don't fret, because you can just come back and highlight everything again later with another color. But this is just to get our shadow layer in there. There. So he is now, all those areas are washed, and we're just gonna put him down for a second now. Put him down there. Our Warlock is now base coated. We're going to take steel gray, which is another game color paint. So we play the D&D on Twitch and YouTube, actually. So tomorrow night we'll be on Twitch and we'll be on YouTube. On Twitch it'll be on twitch.com/realmsmith or /D&D, DND, D the letter N, ND, and then on YouTube we are on youtube.com/realmsmith, so you can check us out there. And there's lots of D&D that is played on this channel. You can go to all of their videos. They have some awesome casts and awesome streams that you can check out as well. Always playing. I'm going to use a smaller brush actually for this. I'm actually just going to paint the pants area in here under his boots and between his cloak, or his little jacket, inner cloak, I guess. There, like that, just to get that in there, and then I'll use a wash to kind of separate all that. Right now he looks a bit like a like a character from He-Man with the bright colors, but like I said, that will change quite significantly very soon. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to base coat his hair and his beard in steel gray. Then when we give it a wash, it'll actually bring it down pretty much to black. So both these characters have almost black hair. I'm not too concerned about getting the face because, again, we're going to come back in there and paint that afterwards, and we're going to wash it with a flesh wash. So I'm not worried about that. So I'm just trying to get his eyebrows, his beard, and his hair in that steel gray color. Like so. There we go. Got a bit of it at the top of his coat here, which I can go back because that mix that we made a little earlier is still wet in the palette. Come back in here and just touch that up on the top of his collar there. There we go. Oh, and I got a little bit of the brown too. Amazingly enough, the first color that we used, folks, is still wet in the palette. That's the heavy sienna. So we can go back in there and just hit the top of that boot with that, which is awesome. There we go. Okay, so he's got all the colors that I need on here to base coat, or to at least wash it with a black wash. So we're just going to let that dry for a sec. We'll go back to our paladin. He's drying still. Just want to see how he's doing. Yeah, he's still doing all right. We'll wait that out a little bit longer. Actually, while that's drying, we're going to add steel gray to his hair. I am not using a wet palette. So yeah, you guys asked if I use a wet palette. I actually don't often. The reason is, I mean, it'd be great. I do want to use one more. It definitely has its benefits, especially if it's a larger miniature. With these smaller miniatures, I find that the Vallejo paint that I use, and a great thing about Vallejo in general, is it stays wet in the palette longer than other paints I've used. So I find not much of a need, actually, to use a wet palette, because by the time I'm done the miniature, the paint that I needed to use it has been viable the entire kind of way through. So I don't really bother with a wet palette too much. I probably would if I was painting something a lot larger and needed to blend more and needed that paint to stay wet longer. But for the most part, I don't find a need so much for these little guys, especially because I'm painting miniature in 2 hours. So okay, here we go. There, so steel gray on the hair. Looks really silly right now, but you'll see the method to my madness when I add the wash a little later. We did the same on the Curse of Strahd hair, and it worked out. The Curse of Strahd, sorry, the vampire hair, and it worked out pretty well. Okay, so that is still drying. We're gonna put that down. And I am gonna go back. Well, you can see here, I'll show you. That the vampire hair was steel gray, then I added a couple washes on it and it made it almost black, so with a little bit of a blue tinge, which was kind of what I was going for. Okay, this guy's gonna get an all over black wash. Hi, Bruno. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Come on, at least once per show. Come here. Yep, don't knock that over. Come here. Oh yeah, knocking stuff. Oh jeez, he's top heavy. Oh gosh. Oh, he's a big potato. This is Bruno. This is Bruno the cat tavern dog. And you'll hear him kind of walking around and making all kinds of noises, snoring and farting and all that stuff he does. Everyone says, hi, Bruno. Oh, he's the best. Yeah. Yeah. Good boy. Yeah, he's a Frenchie. Okay, say bye, Bruno. Oh, don't knock anything over on the way out. Okay. Okay. Go lay down. Little dog break. Nothing wrong with a little dog break. I have not painted a homebrew class, was just a question that was asked. I have not. Okay, so again, black wash on this is going to go on, you know, fairly thick. I do dilute it a little bit, but we want to bring the color of this jacket down quite a bit. So it's not so dark. Sorry, so it's not so bright, not dark. So it's not so bright. And so I'm just going to go in and add a wash across the entire area that has been painted up to this point. Everything's been base coated. We're just going to go through here. And again, folks, if you want to use different colors for some of these miniatures, feel free to do so. Just use the same techniques, and you should get very close to the same results. It's amazing by following certain techniques. I'm just going to add a little bit more black wash. We've gone through what we had in the palette. Hello, Shannon. Of course, Kelly in Facebook. I can see comments now. I wasn't able to see comments now. Now they're coming through on Facebook as well. Wait a second, you're supposed to use brushes for painting minis. No, I usually use my hands. If I'm in a hurry, just finger paint. Just dip your finger in some paint and go for it. Why not? As I always say, you are the boss of your mini. You paint that mini however you feel you want to or need to. I actually have a violet ink there. I should have added a little bit of that to this black wash. I may even go over it after. You can see on the back all those awesome folds. Are getting the love that they need. The sleeves here. There we go. Okay, and then also on the hair. So this one's going to get the hair as well. The hair, we're going to do a nice thick wash on it, and we're going to do a number of different ones. So it's not just going to be one wash. It's probably going to take two or maybe two to get the hair down to the color that we want it to be, which is kind of that dark black blue hair. The wash is also bringing out that detail in the face so that I know what to paint later. But it looks a little messy now, folks. But it should. You can see how much darker that coat has gotten already. That's pretty much the exact color I was looking for, so that's good. That worked out. And that is it. That is base coated. Sorry, not base coated. That is a washed miniature. Bring this back up. Wash is now dry on this bad boy. So we're going to go through. I'm going to add a wash actually to the hair. Might as well when I'm here. And while that's drying, I can go and paint the rest of the miniature. And sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you can start with a really light color and then add washes until it's dark enough. Sometimes you can start with a dark color and then work it up with highlights. Other times I like to start with like a mid-tone and then add the wash for shadows and then bring on some highlights after. So many different ways to tackle a miniature. Okay. Let's see how that looks there. I'm going to go ahead and start with the bone white for kind of the area in front here, the tabard. Can you try to position the camera mini closer? It's hard to see the actual painting. I agree. I apologize for that, folks. It's the balance of not having the camera in my way and me being able to see the miniature, but I will absolutely try to bring the mini a little closer, at least give you views of it after the fact. I will try my best. We are using bone white next. Bone white is another color in the game color line. It is one of my favorites. It's got lots and lots and lots of applications. I use it for a lot of different things. In this case, we're using it for the fabric on the tabard. So we're just going to do, now it is not an extra opaque paint. It does go on nice and thick, but, or nice and solid, I should say, not thick. But we will probably have to do a second coat perhaps. Maybe not actually, it's covering pretty well. Considering we used a really dark blue for under that. When we use heavy blue and on the wash. There we go. Okay. There we go. A little bone white. Hopefully that's a bit better, folks. A little closer. And then I'm going to go in and try my best not to get the brown, just did already, not to get the gauntlets we just painted, but of course I went ahead and I did that accidentally. Anyways, and I just got this is why I say inside out. Probably should have painted this part earlier, because now I might get it on the gauntlets and on the cloak, but in this scenario it's a little hard to kind of decide which one, because in some areas the cloak is under, in some areas the cloak is over, so it's hard to kind of tell what to do in those scenarios. I think I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make the shirt that is under kind of it's almost like there's a shirt and then there's like a padding, which would be under the chainmail. So we're going to go ahead and do the shirt first in a bone white, and then we'll do the padding in leather brown, and that'll add some kind of line differentiation. I think this goes all the way down to the gauntlet like that. Like that. I think that works. And I am just touching all of this, so I'm pulling the paint off that. Not too much of an issue because we are going to come back and highlight that probably last a little later. I just wanted the base coat on there so I could add the wash, but now if I had a mini holder, that would help. I may actually go get that. I may just step away for 1 sec and go grab that mini holder. 1 sec. Again, things are a little crazy due to all of this construction in here. Be right back, folks. This happens with live video. And you can find lots of different mini holders in the market. Personally, this is the one I use. Vallejo does not make a mini holder yet. And the other issue too is when you're batch painting like this, and you're switching between miniatures. It's hard sometimes to because you have to turn them like pull them in and out of the holder, so it's not ideal sometimes, but double-sided tape on a piece of dowel rod works. Yeah, so if you ever want to see how WizKids is intended to paint the miniature, if you go to upm.wizkids.com, you can search for your miniature and it'll show you both the unpainted and the painted version of it. Okay, so leather brown is going to be next. Leather brown is another game color. Oh, it's already 6:22. We'll be good. Time's flying today. We started a little late. That's probably why. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to paint this this upper belt area. So there's a belt kind of above. It's almost like an armor belt above the lower one. The lower one holds his scabbard, I'm assuming, somewhere. But I'm just going to paint this belt like this. Adam's character Dimitri has a shield. This is almost like a two-handed sword. He has a long sword, but this was, I thought, the miniature that looks the most like what he wanted his character to look like, which is why I chose it. So that's that. There are some straps on the gauntlets. I'm gonna paint those leather brown as well. You just paint a line like that across them, and then on the top, and then under here as well. This one has just one strap. There we go. And that actually painted over that little mistake I made. That's good. There we go. So we've got that leather brown where we wanted. Oh, we also wanted to put leather brown, which is just a lighter brown, kind of in the undergarment padding that is used between the chainmail and kind of his shirt. So inside here too, there's a little bit of a slit in it, so we gotta get both sides like that. There. And then we'll do it on the other side as well, and then we'll use a sepia wash on all of these leather brown areas and the bone white areas, because it gives it a really nice warm shadow and contrast there. So now with a mini holder, sometimes it's hard to get into the spots here. There we go. There we go. So that is the leather brown. And that will dry really quickly. No other straps really that I want to address here. He's looking good. He's not far from done. Am I Portuguese? Yes, I am. Tá bom. Do you attach them on the pin? Let's look at Noah Blender. Are you from Portugal? I live in Canada. My parents immigrated here, but are you from the motherland? Okay, so while he's on here, I might as well do some more on him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the heavy blue that is still wet in the palette, and then I'm just going to start adding some highlights here. Now, this is just pure blue, heavy blue. I've diluted it a bit with water just so it flows really nice. But I'm just following all the folds now. I'm just going to paint it down the folds. We're lightening up this cloak a little bit on the higher areas that would get the most light. I am keeping the dark color in the recesses here near the bottom where that there's like a line or like a trim on the bottom of the cloak. I'm going to leave that dark so that we have some contrast between that and then the gold color that we're going to add to the bottom of the cloak later. Like I said here, we're just bringing it down. I use the side of my brush when those folds get really sharp, like this. Down the middle of the cloak and then up the side. back at the top of the cloak. And the front. We're still keeping that dark blue in the recesses. Get that little bit of off-white that I painted on the edge. Come down the edge here. And all that paint that I just rubbed off on the higher portions is now all covered. That's why I don't worry too much when paint comes off a miniature. I don't like rush to fix it because I know that another layer or a highlight might fix it later. And I don't have to worry about the edge here because that will be painted gold afterwards. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do the same on the kind of under tabard thing here in the front. Paint again, that fixed the little area of bone white that was there. There, okay. And that's pretty much it for the blue. The hair is still a bit light for what I want, and the cloak will get one more highlight. But I will get to that a little later. I'm going to leave the inside of the cloak kind of dark as it is. It actually looks really nice the way that it kind of finished off there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Sepia Wash, which is a sepia shade from the Game Color line. Noah Blender from Portugal just said I did a good job. I'm doing a good job, and he's from Portugal. Thank you. It's really cool. First time I've been able to have somebody Portuguese speak to me in Portuguese and me read it online. It's pretty cool. All right, so here we go. Sepia wash, again, on this bone white will really kind of make it nice and warm color. I love this wash. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. I use it for a lot of different things, including like scrolls or paper, parchment. I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. I'm going to use it on the excuse me, on the leather brown as well. It'll give it a nice shadow, and I will also do it on the top of the tabard here. If you get it a little bit over on other areas that I've painted, not a huge deal. I'm trying to keep it just on the intended areas, but it's not gonna ruin anything. I do let it rest in the recesses though, because then it does add some differentiation there. But I am painting it onto all the areas we just painted bone white and leather brown, including these straps here. Okay, there we go. Okay, pull them off using a sword. Let's put this Warlock on here while that wash dries. Hello to Bill Allen and Carolini. Hello, welcome. All right, so you can see that the wash is now dried on my human Warlock, which is actually our Shadow Sorcerer, who will be playing on a stream. We are now going to use our leather brown to bring out some of those areas that we want to be leather brown. What I didn't realize is our Shadow Sorcerer is actually, his color scheme is very similar to Strahd's. I'm not saying anything, just saying. That was not intentional. Maybe not maybe. Okay, so let's see. I think I want to do these little bits. These kind of like rounded things that come out from under his sleeves. I would think that they're part of his jacket, the inner jacket part, but instead I'm going to say that they're actually kind of like part of bracers that he has inside his cloak. So I'm just going to paint them leather brown instead of that color. I think I'm going to paint, I've decided I'm going to paint a little leather brown lining on his inner coat area. So right in here, I'm going to paint like that. Now for this kind of detail work, you can see I'm resting my painting hand, on the mini holder. But that's really going to make that jacket pop. And I think moving the camera closer is really helping clarity, folks. I hope that's the case. It's helping with my stability too. There. I think I also want to paint all of the little kind of ties that come off his jacket here. Now I can use the edge, I'll just use the edge of my brush to catch most of that detail if I can. It's a little bit more pronounced. See, I can just rub my brush along it and it picks up all those little loops. I did get it on the coat a little bit, but that's okay. Not a huge deal. I'll probably fix that when I come back with some highlights on my coat. Okay, so that's the inner coat area. I am gonna go now and try and do some highlights on this red coat area. What I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna put a little water on my brush and get some of that Warlock purple that I used to mix into the red earlier, and I'm gonna paint that onto the miniature with a little bit of water diluted, and that'll be our first kind of highlight. Hopefully it's not too bright. There. And I'm just gonna focus on the areas that aren't in the recesses, and I think that'll really help to bring out the detail. And then I may do an all over ink with purple ink. You can see I'm just using that Warlock purple, diluted a little bit with some water to bring out some of those highlights again and some of that texture across the whole coat of the miniature. We'll do top and bottom of his coat here. Still leaving a lot of that wash in the recesses. There we go. I definitely want to get on this lapel. That, get on the outside of the lapel here, like that. Now this is really bringing out kind of the pink color, which is okay. Again, I want to take it a little bit out of the straw territory, out of the red territory, and then when I add that black or that purple ink afterwards. Now the difference between an ink and a wash is an ink is intended to tone a surface of an area, whereas a wash is intended to add shadow and depth. That's the difference between those two. And there we go. You can see how that's kind of coming along. And like I said, I know that it's lightening it a bit much, but that's okay because I'm going to bring it back down with some violet ink. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. 25 minutes, folks. We will get these done. Okay, so that is his coat. While I have him on here, I'm going to go ahead and base coat all of his skin using cadmium skin. Not intentional is right. For me, it's Noah. English is a bit better, easier for me than Portuguese, but either way. Question: I am going to be DMing my first campaign one-shot shortly, and I was wondering what advice you could give. Two of the players are new to D&D, one is reasonably experienced. For me, for a brand new DM, I would say don't be afraid to take chances. Don't be afraid to try it. You've already decided to try it, so that's part of it. Part of it. And you will learn as you go. You will make rules mistakes, all of that kind of stuff. Just know as many of the basic rules, especially in combat, as you can. But with a new DM, I would say use the rule of cool a lot of times. So if your players do something you don't know what the rule is, go with it as long as it's reasonable within the world. Natural 20 is not an automatic success, even though somebody can say, "Oh, I'm going to try and fly," and you can say you can absolutely try, but it's actually not possible. So things that aren't possible don't just automatically happen when you roll a 20. Keep that in mind when they roll a 20, or even when you roll a 20 as a DM. And just be confident. Be confident in your decisions. If there's a rules call that somebody doesn't like, then my suggestion is always take it up afterwards. So make a call at the table. Don't spend a lot of times in rules debates, because that's not ever going to go well necessarily. Or sometimes it might, but you just want to deal with that kind of stuff mostly after the fact. Make a call in-game, go with it, and then just say, listen, you know what? We'll take a look after. If I'm wrong, or if, something should be done differently, then we do it. We look at it after the game's done. Then look up the rule, and then for next time, unless it's something that kills a player or has a major effect in the game, you can see, folks, I'm just adding cadmium skin to the skin area on his hands and on his face. There. And then we'll do his hands here. And then we're going to use violet ink to paint this spell effect, which is another really cool thing about the WizKids minis, is that they have these clear areas where spells or arcane effects or fire, things like that are seen, and you can use inks to paint those. If you use washes, it doesn't quite work as well because washes tend to be a bit more opaque than inks are. Inks have a bit of a clear quality to them, so they're a bit better suited for those clear effects. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So that is all the skin tone. You can see all of a sudden that miniature really starts to come together once you've added those skin tones. What is Bruno doing? Bruno, hey, stop it. Get out of that garbage bag, you silly. Stop it. He's having a blast in the studio. All right, so that is all done. We'll bring out the violet ink in a bit. I'm going to put that aside for now, bring back our paladin friend, and do all of the skin on him. Same thing, focusing on the skin, trying not to get the neighboring areas, because pretty much all the neighboring areas on these now have been painted. And folks, I always challenge myself to paint within the 2 hours, even if I paint multiple miniatures. I'm going to paint multiple miniatures I think can get done, just so you folks can see that doesn't take a lot of time to get decent results from painting your minis. There, under the nose, here we go. Trying to get under the neck without getting that cloak. Sorry, folks, I'm off camera here a bit. Move over a little bit more. Back of the neck here, and I'm going to get the side of the neck. Again, trying not to get the hair. But the hair actually looks pretty good. Now, I might add one more black wash to it to darken it a bit more, but it's really coming along in the way that I wanted it to. Okay. Beautiful. You can see how all of a sudden he comes together as soon as you add that skin tone. Okay, that is all the skin tone on him. While I have him, I'm gonna get, let's see, I'm gonna get that bone white back here, see how much of a difference it makes. If it doesn't make a lot of difference, I'm gonna go straight to off-white. But we are starting to run out of time, so I wanna make sure we get all of it done. So I'm just gonna go down with the bone white. I don't think I'm gonna use off-white on this in the end. Don't want to get it in the recesses because you don't want to ruin all the awesome shadows that are there. Just going to get it kind of in the highlighted areas where it would be the lightest and where the light would hit the most. I got a bit on the chainmail. I'm just going to get a brush that I haven't used yet and wipe it off. It's a great way to fix your mistakes. Just going to turn on the turbo speed here for a sec, folks. So we'll go with some bone white there, and that we'll add that. We're going to grab some more wash, black wash, add some water to it because it has already started to dry in the palette. And we're going to add that black wash to the hair a bit more just to bring it down one level further so it looks closer to black hair rather than blue hair. Like that. But it'll still have those blue streaks in it for their highlights. Okay. Oh, I missed a little spot there on the side. Okay, then yes, it's all Vallejo stuff, Iculus. Sorry if I missed some comments, folks. We're just trying to quickly get through the rest of this. Okay, so skin is dry on here. But I've just put the black wash there, so we're going to switch back to the Warlock real quick, and I'm going to add a flesh wash. Flesh wash, again, from Vallejo Color, is a great way to finish off your skin. Put some in the palette. Now, the flesh wash tends to be a little lighter in consistency than the rest of the washes, so I really don't tend to dilute it too much. I'm just going to go straight onto the mini, and you're just going to paint that wash onto all the skin areas. Oh, I totally missed the skin under his neck. It's okay to come back in here and just touch that up. Catch that afterwards. Got some on his shirt. Gonna use again a brush I hadn't used yet. Try and move it around. If you muck it up, just add some water and it'll come off with a clean brush. There we go. Right off. Get the rest of the neck here if I can without mucking up too much else of it. And then I'll add some flesh wash in there too once that's had just a chance to dry a little bit. Go flesh wash on the skin on his hands. May do a highlight on the hands. We'll see after the fact. Flesh wash on the other hand. Just want to make sure I capture all of the techniques here, folks, for the VOD after, in case that's where you'll be seeing it. Again, all the VODs go onto the D&D YouTube and the RealmSmith YouTube as well, so you can catch them at both places. Okay, that is the flesh wash done. Okay, then after the flesh wash is done, I'm going to add another black wash again to the hair. I'm out of black wash on the my palette. Okay, just adding, like I said, some more black so that this hair looks black and not blue or gray. Also adding one more wash to the beard, trying not to get it on the flesh areas. There. And I'm also using the black wash to kind of border the skin areas. Okay. Looking good. Then, finally, for this guy, well, not finally, couple last steps. I'm gonna get my violet ink. Again, this is violet ink from the game color line. It's called Game Ink. We're gonna add some water to this for sure because we don't want it to be too heavy on his coat. So we're diluting it and we're just going over it. It's gonna darken it. It's gonna make it richer, and it's gonna make it more purple rather than that pink color, which is kind of the tone I'm going for. But this is just like a glaze, it's called, where you're adding some diluted ink to an area to slightly change the color of it. Bruno, stay out of the garbage, you silly. All right. Okay. There. So this coat is done. I will be taking pictures of all of these for Instagram as well at some point, so you can keep an eye out for that. I think his boots, I'm going to keep his boots kind of the way they are. I am now, so we're going to use almost undiluted ink, or less diluted ink, I should say, for his magic effects. See if I do this, and it's got this dark purple kind of tinge to it. It'll make this look like a purple cloud of shadow magic that is being cast. Like that. See that? And so it still remains transparent, but the ink just gives it a little color. And that's the magic of the inks on the spell effects. And then I'm going to take Glorious Gold, which we haven't used yet. Awesome game color. Put a little bit in our palette. And I'm going to paint his little wand or rod. It looks more like a rod than a wand in his hand here. In his right hand with that. Now, again, I've always said this with D&D minis. This is a player character mini, and I think it's decent enough. I usually spend more time on my minis that spend more time on the table. So these will always be on the table. You know, typically maybe if this was for my own game, which it is, but if I wasn't painting on a stream and trying to get it done quickly, I would spend, you know, maybe an extra hour on this, over and above kind of what we're spending here. But for most of these minis, for D&D minis, when you're painting monsters and stuff, they only show up on the table like once, twice, maybe in a campaign. So just think of that when you're spending the time. I'm also going to take some of that Glorious Gold. Bruno, come here. I'm also going to take some of that Glorious Gold, and I'm going to paint it onto the little buttons on his coat. He is into something in the office there. He loves to knock garbage cans over and dig. There. So buttons painted. I think the last thing to do on him is his eyes. I think that's the last thing here. What are you doing over there, you monkey? Take some off-white here. Might as well finish his eye right now while he's on the holder. Now, you don't have to be too scared of eyes. I come in from the corner. Remember to brace your hand. You don't need a lot of paint on the brush. But I basically come in from the edge here and put a little slit in here. Make sure it's not too wet. Now, if it goes kind of big anime eyes, it's okay, because then you can come in with the skin tone and fix it after. Or basically you give him brows after and that'll fix it. I am going to use, what am I going to use? My heavy brown, which now, oh no, it's not dry. I still have some heavy brown here. That's still wet in the palette. Amazing. And I just don't have the best detail brush here. I wish I had a new one. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to little pupil like that. Actually, that came in nice and there. If you can see that. And then after that, I'm going to come in with some steel gray mixed with kind of black wash here. And I'm going to give him little eyebrows, and that'll, oops, totally messed that up. Again, using a brush I haven't used yet. Always good to have a clean brush around for mistakes. Just adding some eyebrows. And that'll close up the eye a bit. And there we go. There. Okay, there we are. That is our Shadow Sorcerer for tomorrow night's stream. But we used the Warlock. I'm just fixing up the shoulder. I messed up a bit here. That we're using for tomorrow night's stream in our Curse of Strahd campaign. Okay. Last thing for him is a little bit of sepia wash on the rod that he has, and that will give it the shadow it needs. And it is good to go. The base, I've usually don't necessarily do bases on the show. You can just base this one. I'm going to use steel gray like I did for these, and a black wash, and that's enough. But he is, I'm going to call him done. Then on the Paladin, I'm probably missing a ton of questions, folks. I'll try and go back and answer them after the fact. If you have any questions, you can ask us on our Instagram page. Okay, so flesh wash, first thing. Four minutes left. If we had started on time tonight, I would have had these done no problem. So we're gonna add the flesh wash there. That's all he needs on his skin. Then I'm gonna go steel gray and mix it in with some heavy blue. The last thing I really need to do here is to go through and highlight the cloak one more time with a line down each of these big folds. And that's it pretty much. So just like this. Like that. On the cloak there. There. And then that's your final kind of highlight on that blue cloak. It's going to be a dark blue cloak. And that'll give you that final highlight. There. Do it on the front here as well, a little bit at the bottom. That flesh wash has done its part. I'll go in after into his eyes as well. I'm going to go and grab some of this silver. And I'm going to just use it on the edge of the sword, just to kind of highlight the edge of his sword. And then I did say that I was going to line his cloak with gold. And that will be the last thing that I do using glorious gold on this miniature. There it is. Dimitri, pretty much done. Very close to done. I'll post pictures afterwards. And this is Roan for our stream tomorrow night. That is Into the Mist, premiering tomorrow night on the D&D Twitch, on our Twitch, on Facebook, and on YouTube at /RealmSmith. We hope to see you guys tomorrow night. Please stay tuned and enjoy it. I will play the intro to our show one more time before we go offline here. Next week, I'll be announcing what we'll be painting, probably more PC miniatures if you guys are into that, and then maybe the Gazer set a little later. Have a great one, guys. Have a good night. Be safe, and we will see you tomorrow night for Into the Mist.